Carlos Miguel Prieto, al frente de la Orquesta Filarmónica de la UNAM, nos acaba de ofrecer esta maravilla de obra que es la Sinfonía número 10 en mi menor opus 93 de Dmitri Shostakovich, una obra de una ferocidad y belleza absolutamente indescriptibles. Y desde luego, bueno, pues el público responde a la orquesta y al director. Les había yo prometido una segunda parte de la entrevista del maestro Carlos Miguel Prieto, pero lamentablemente no vamos a poder pasarla por razones de tiempo, pero sí me gustaría decir que un poco el contenido de la entrevista está ya en la alocución que el maestro Carlos Miguel Prieto realizó antes de que escucháramos esta obra, en donde dijo sustancialmente lo importante de esta sinfonía, que fue escrita como una memoria, una descripción del compositor sobre Stalin y sobre los tiempos de Stalin. Bien, la semana próxima la Ofunam no tiene concierto, desde luego estaremos transmitiendo un programa anterior, pero el programa del 19, 18 y 19 de octubre es un programa que va a estar a cargo de Jean-Paul Penán como director huésped y cuya primera parte va a estar integrada por dos obras de Berlioz en este bicentenario del nacimiento del autor francés, la obertura de Beatriz y Benedicto, e inmediatamente después La Nuit d'été, Las noches de verano, una obra sinfónico-vocal. Luego del intermedio vamos a escuchar la Sinfonía en Do mayor de Paul Dukas, un programa francés el que tendremos dentro de 15 días aquí en la Ofunam. La solista en La Nuit d'été será la mezzo mexicana Encarnación Vázquez, y desde luego los conciertos son como de costumbre el sábado 18 de octubre a las 20 horas, el domingo 19 a las 12 del día aquí en la sala de conciertos Nezahualcóyotl del Centro Cultural Universitario. Muchísimas gracias por sus llamadas. El señor Armando Saldaña, muchas gracias. Víctor León, le haremos llegar su comentario a Marisa Canales, al igual de todas las personas que llamaron para hacerle llegar un saludo personal. Evelyn Miñón, muchas gracias por la llamada. Irma Galindo, Luis Gómez de Guadalajara, muchísimas gracias. Jorge Baptista de Oaxaca. Voy a preguntarle a Marisa Canales si tiene grabado el concierto de Globe Bowling. No sé, no conozco el dato, pero la semana próxima se lo informo. El doctor Hurtado del Río y su esposa, gracias por su comentario. Lisliana Lisbeth del Distrito Federal, Liliana Hernández y María Elena Acosta, le haré llegar su comentario al maestro Carlos Miguel Prieto. Bueno, pues recuerde que la semana que entra tenemos una retransmisión para usted en punto de las 12 del día, y el día 19 de octubre estaremos aquí en la sala de conciertos Nezahualcóyotl en punto de las 12 del día para llevar hasta ustedes el concierto de la Ofunam, y nos despedimos también de Radio UNAM, que transmite este concierto a través de sus dos frecuencias en AM 860 y FM 96.1. Muchísimas gracias por su atención y hasta la próxima.
En esta casa viven 5 personas. En un año se sacaron 365 bolsas de basura. Se sirvieron 5.475 comidas. Se lavaron 16.425 platos. Se lavaron y plancharon 10.000 prendas de ropa. Se trapearon 21.900 metros cuadrados de piso. El 90% de todo este trabajo lo hace una sola persona. ¿Crees que es justo? Trabajo doméstico. Todos tenemos mucho que hacer. Valóralo. Contigo es posible. Instituto Nacional de las Mujeres.
Cuida tus dientes, como cuidas tus cosas. Cepíllalos 3 veces al día. Usa hilo dental. Visita a tu dentista cada 6 meses. Aprovecha la segunda Semana Nacional de Salud Bucal del 3 al 7 de noviembre. Contigo es posible. Secretaría de Salud. México está por los cielos. que hay alguien detrás del control del espacio aéreo mexicano y del servicio en los aeropuertos de nuestro país. La Secretaría de Comunicaciones y Transportes. Poniendo a México al día y a la vanguardia. El gobierno del cambio cumple.
BBC World y Canal 22 se lanzan a la búsqueda de la nueva generación de cineastas de México y el mundo. Participan jóvenes entre 18 y 30 años de edad. Envía tu cortometraje con una duración máxima de 2 minutos y medio a Canal 22. Se elegirán los 3 mejores trabajos a nivel mundial que serán presentados en una edición especial de fin de año de su programa Talking Movies. El ganador recibirá un viaje todo pagado a la ciudad de Nueva York, donde participará junto a Tom Brook en la grabación de un programa. Consulta los detalles completos del concurso en www.canal22.org.mx. BBC's Talking Movie Young Filmmakers Competition.
Hello from New York. I'm Tom Brook. In today's program, Woody Allen's new romantic comedy, Anything Else. The advertising hardly mentions his name. We find out why. Kate Beckinsale undergoes a dramatic image overhaul. Now she's a gun-toting vampire warrior. And a new ensemble picture from that master of indie cinema, John Sayles. All that and more in this edition of Talking Movies.
Talking movies. Talking movies. Talking movies. Talking movies. Talking movies.
It used to be that the arrival of a Woody Allen movie in New York was a major event, but alas, no longer. Allen is not the shining cultural icon he once was when films like Annie Hall captured awards and the zeitgeist. Allen's new romantic comedy, Anything Else, has just opened. And as Manoush Zomorodi now tells us, he more or less got below-the-line billing.
Most of the time, a Woody Allen film is instantly recognizable. The soundtrack is classic jazz, a lovely ingenue stars, and Allen is always on screen in full neurotic force. Anything Else is no different. Woody Allen wrote, directed, and stars in this film, but the publicity for Anything Else doesn't dwell on this. Instead, Mr. Allen gets a rather small acknowledgement for all his contributions. The posters and trailers barely mention him. This could be because Allen's last several films didn't do particularly well at the box office. Christina Ricci and Jason Biggs are being promoted as the big stars of Anything Else, presumably because they're more bankable these days than Allen is.
I know that they want a wider audience than they usually get. I hope that, I hope that there's no fear that Woody is selling out. I hope that we don't disappoint his, his long-time fans. Maybe some new people our age who don't know about Woody Allen. I think that's blasphemous that they don't know about Woody Allen, but, maybe we'll introduce them.
And yet the 67-year-old filmmaker is still regarded as a legend, one that every actor wants to work with.
He kept knocking on my door. He was like pursuing me. You just wouldn't believe it. I mean, sending me notes, flowers. It was incredible. I was like, who's Woody? No, I mean, he's amazing. And personally, to watch his films and see the consistency in the performances of all of his actors. I mean, the guy obviously works great with actors and knows how to get these amazing performances out of them.
You included.
I'm very proud of my work. I think it's the best stuff I've done.
He's amazing. I was fortunate to work with him a couple years ago on Celebrity, and I basically had no dialogue, and I didn't care. I was just happy to be on that set, and honored and privileged because he's a great artist.
I'll be moving out. I'm back. I guess I have a problem with commitment.
Jerry Falk, played by Biggs, and Amanda, played by Ricci, are a young New York couple with difficulties.
Do you love me?
What a question. Just because I pull away when you try to touch me?
The young aspiring comedy writer is tortured by his sex kitten girlfriend and turns to his friend and mentor, Dobell, played by Alan, for advice.
Dobell!
Critics have called the film far from top form for Alan, with nothing to set it apart from his other mediocre films of late.
The doctor had better sex examining her than I've had in 6 months.
Reviews like this have film lovers wondering, is Alan in a creative decline? And why doesn't he rest on his laurels a bit rather than churn out a film every year?
I make a film, and then when the film is over, I don't run to do another film. I sit around the house and play with the kids and practice my clarinet, and then, you know, a week or two goes by and there's nothing doing, so I start to write again, and then after a couple of months, I have a script, so I make it. And that's usually what happens. It's no more dedicated than that.
This is music to my ears, you know.
As for Biggs and Ricci, they will appear together again shortly in Prozac Nation, the much-delayed film version of the best-selling book.
Like a vision she danced.
Both have received praise from critics for their performances in Anything Else. And perhaps the duo will attract a new audience to replace the moviegoers who have drifted away from Woody Allen's films.
Okay, I slept with Ron Keller. I had to know if I could even get aroused anymore.
And can you?
Yeah, it's good news, I can.
Anything Else is a rather disappointing film. It deals with characters so burdened by their own neurosis, it's hard to feel engaged by their plight.
Don't be mad at me, but I ate.
You ate?
The film feels like a Woody Allen retread, a collection of angst-ridden New Yorkers involving stock Allen characters, including an unsympathetic psychiatrist, who are all part of a coming-of-age tale that revolves around the young Jerry Falk, played by Jason Biggs. It does hang together as a story, but the people in this film aren't that likable. Biggs does a pretty good job. His Jerry Falk seems to be a younger version of Woody Allen, but we can't understand why he stays involved for so long with his less than accommodating girlfriend.
I can't.
Do you love me?
The filmmaking isn't that adventurous. There are some trademark Allen techniques, with protagonist Falk stepping out of his role and addressing the camera directly. And with Woody Allen driving and characters snorting lines of coke, there's shades of Annie Hall in Anything Else. But unfortunately, Anything Else has none of that film's greatness. It's a melancholic, mildly depressing picture that's less than inspiring. It's not as barren as last year's Hollywood ending, but only marginally better. Mambo Italiano is an Italian-Canadian comedy set in Montreal, which many say is in the same vein as last year's sleeper hit, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It deals with a clash of values between two old-world Italian immigrant families and their respective offspring, two men who happen to be gay. Laura Metzger has been to see the film.
In reality, it all started when my parents left Italy to come to America and settled in Canada.
The central character in Mambo Italiano is Angelo, a first-generation Canadian with very traditional Italian parents. When Angelo moves out of the family home, it causes an uproar. But that's nothing compared to what happens when he announces he's gay.
Nino's my lover! I want you to go to see the doctor immediately.
The story is the brainchild of Steve Galluccio. He was inspired by a talk show that focused on an episode of the American TV series Ellen when the title character announced she was a lesbian.
How do you think our parents would react if I were to tell them that I'm
A what?
You know,
a fag.
Hey, shh.
There was this discussion in the audience about how some parents had watched it with their gay and lesbian children, and it was all a very civilized discussion and all that. And I'm saying, you know what, if that were to happen in an Italian family, it wouldn't be all that civilized.
You, go to your room. You turned my room into a den. Didn't I tell you to leave that room alone? It's only your fault.
Now, Angelo has to deal with parents who first deny his sexual orientation and then try to convert him. This drama unfolds in a Canadian-Italian community where ethnic stereotypes are played up for laughs.
Nobody leave the table until you finish supper.
Yeah, what happens if I leave the table?
That's what happened.
Although the film's central character is gay and it deals with the weighty topic of homophobia, those involved stress there's no hard-hitting social agenda at work and no shortage of humor.
The beauty of it is in all good comedies, there's a lot of truth in it. And so it treats the subject with great humor. It doesn't trash it. It doesn't throw it away. It's not just a send-up, as I say. It's almost a serious look at the subject while we laugh. So it makes it a very significant movie. It's not about gayness. It's not a gay movie. There's a gay person in it, a couple of gay people in it, but it's not about gayness. This boy could be afflicted with something, and it might be similar, or he might be a terrorist. You know, his differences in his family shock the family. That's what counts, and they never do understand the gayness.